Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to give you an update on the talent system I announced in the last video, where I told you about a system I was starting where I will try to help connect freelancers with clients for a variety of methods, although I didn't specify exactly which strategies we were going to take. Now, when I released that video, I expected about, I don't know, maybe 20 or so people to apply, but I severely underestimated the amount of people that were looking for work and or that might be interested in the system, which means we ended up with, I'm not exactly sure, I think it's somewhere between 100 and 200 people at the moment that have all kind of filled out the form, submit their portfolios, and need to be reviewed. I did say in that video that I could get help on certain parts of the process when it comes to manning emails. However, when it comes to the initial applicants, I kind of want to review them myself to start with. So it will take a while to ingest them, just because I have an eye for looking out for certain things in people's work and their presentation and personality, how they write, etc. Now, I did have one or two comments from people that were like, oh, how long is it going to take? I didn't receive a response. Well, please be patient. Basically, about 16 people have been offered agreements now, so they're part of this system, which means that I can talk about them freely, knowing that we are now connected, and I will actively try to find the work. For example, we've got people like Devanshu Tak, Albin Larson, Ashley 3D, Aria Faith Jones, Kate White, Patrick Chenard, and more. I will go over them. If you are on the agreement now and I didn't mention you then, don't worry, because I'm currently just prepping a system where everyone who has been given an agreement now is going to have a proper full short made about them, which will be inserted into videos and shared on social platforms, possibly on a certain routine. What I've done now is I've paused reviewing the applicants because, again, there are too many. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do them in chunks, right? So if you've submitted, don't worry. If you haven't received a response, you just didn't make the first chunk of people that were processed. Of everyone that was processed, some were offered agreements and some weren't offered agreements immediately. That doesn't mean you're not being considered for future connection. It just means that I just wanted a certain digestible number of talents that I could have on my agreement that I could dedicate some good personal time to. And if I ingest everyone into the agreement immediately, then it will kind of dilute it a bit. And I'll feel like I won't be able to kind of fairly give people the attention they deserve. So this stuff takes time. It also takes time because I'm making sure to get approval from the talents when talking about them, except in the case for this video where I just mentioned them by name, but meaning when it comes to things like sharing portfolio pieces within a certain context. Otherwise, I would have just mentioned them like all immediately already, showed all the work, but because we now have this agreement together, we have this kind of trust system in place. It is slower, but I want to make sure that they're comfortable with everything before I share them like in future content. So I'll talk a bit about the strategy, because I didn't talk about strategy much, but I did mention it in emails to the people that have now been agreed. When it comes to finding clients for people, there are two main approaches. One is less realistic and one's more realistic. So the two approaches are direct connection, which is where I identify someone who needs work done. I identify a talent who is suitable for the role, and then I directly try to connect them. I know people do a lot of like cold emailing to try and find people, and that's not very effective. The thing about direct connection is it's small, it's slow, it's not scalable. It's just not realistically how the world works kind of online nowadays. I've found, or rather I live by a kind of principle where the harder you try to get something, the less likely you are to get it. And I feel like that applies when it comes to finding clients. So I didn't specifically say this in the original video. The other strategy is organic discovery, and this is the most likely way that things will happen. What I mean by that is this is the actual way that I've gotten work for people in the past. Organic discovery is where you kind of intermingle information about talent in your own work, ideally when the work is relevant to the interest of the viewer. And you can kind of force it a little bit, a bit like sponsorships in some way, but it's better doing it where there's a narrative connection. For example, someone who is on the agreement now, Natalie, sorry for shouting that at you. Since recording this video, I have done a little bit of clarification work to make sure that I'm pronouncing people's names all right. We both have a slightly biomedical interest when it comes to the 3D field, and she's done a cover for Science Advances. Now, don't you think that Natalie would be a fantastic person to talk about when I do videos that are somewhat medical related in terms of like 3D effects and such? I don't really want to take up client work myself. I've said in the past that I kind of do, and I will try different things, but it's not my favorite type of work. Although sometimes I get to the end of doing a video of like an experiment and I think, you know what, there's a bit of a wasted opportunity here. Maybe I should advertise myself or a product or something. And then I come away from it feeling like there was potential for something that I didn't latch onto. But one of the nice things about having this agreement with talents now, where if I find them work, I get a commission over a very set period of time, is that I now have people that I feel like I can share that are relevant, where the potential of the video can kind of carry on beyond just the scope of YouTube. So like I said, for example, if I do medical science related 3D stuff, at the end I could say, if you need any work done, by the way, I know someone who might be willing to help. Especially in this age of, I would say, AI and AI grifters, but it's a bit more than that. We're at a period in time where various industries are laying off a lot of their workforce, and it's not necessarily for one specific thing. I mean, yes, there's the AI thing, but there's the cost of living situation. People are spending less money. There's things like the tariff situation with Trump and that, and announcements for laws/rules that haven't actually come into effect, but because they haven't actually come into effect, no one actually knows what's happening with them, so they're not confident enough to start certain projects. Stuff like that's happening in the film industry. With all these overlapping situations happening, I think that it's important that we still put effort into binding together as artists to sort of fight back against the chaos in some way. So like I alluded to in the last video or the video before, I can't even remember now, I said that there's kind of so much being worked on right now on my side of things that we're in a bit of a period of quiet right now where we're just getting ready to manage the development and publishing of all of it. So I didn't really want to run into it without improving my system in some way. And setting up this talent system is part of that overall system of improvement. Because as I create more opportunities for people to observe things, whether it's my content, someone else's content, news, whatever, there'll be more opportunities for connections to be made. And I don't want to waste that anymore. I've always believed that I can see an improvement in my own success without it being selfish. I enjoy looking for collaborations, and I believe that, if you're rising through things, if you're rising through the ranks, if you're rising through your success, then you should be able to pull other people up with you. So if that happens for me, then I want to be able to pull other people up with me. Now, like I mentioned earlier, I've put a little bit of a hold on reviewing the applicants now because we've had so many requests, but you can still apply. Go to codasol.online/services. At the bottom of the page, there'll be a link to the talent application form. To be a bit transparent as well, there is a bit of a personality test involved. You are being tested during the application process. And no, I don't mean in terms of work. You don't get like a work test or anything. There is just some personality filtering. It does not have any bearing on anything like your gender or where you're from. There's no specific consideration for diversity or anything like that. I don't filter people out based on anything about who they are. Rather, I do pay attention to what they write, how they describe themselves and like the work they've done, and how they react to the agreement when it's offered to them. Because you can tell a lot about someone's personality based on what things they like to focus on and what things they want to discuss. And I find that interesting. But there is one talent that I've been really impressed with. It goes by the username of Ape, but the actual name of Jorg. But I want to share his work because it's freaking insane. He's such a cool concept artist. Like, I sat down with Charon when I was looking through some of these talents, and we loved this one. There's so many brilliant sketches, such a good use of color as well, and detailing, and like great silhouette variety, environments and characters and all sorts, and absolutely loved it. So if you need any concept work done, in fact, I'm almost tempted to say back off because I might want to get them to do some concept work for me. But if you do need any done, then you are welcome to contact them. Otherwise, you can contact me and I can patch you through to them. After I finish recording this video, I've got to record a video because Charon and I have just finished a product. Procedural Coral. I mean, that video may be released before this one, who knows? So I've got a lot of stuff to do. But for now, I will leave you be. Remember, you can sign up to my Patreon if you want to help pay for free project development for the community, because Biogen is still being paid for at the moment. I get access to exclusive content on codasol.online/members. So have a great day, everyone. Stay safe. If you made it this far through the video, please let's do a hugging emoji, since we're talking about helping out creatives. On Windows, you can use the Windows key and the period key to open an emoji keyboard. So have a fantastic day, and I will see you next time.